Hello there and welcome to another AFK Craft workshop. Today I'd like to take a look at adding detail to Worbla, specifically this highly detailed filigree that I've added to this armour in progress here. Is this armour for Series 2? Who knows? Let's find out. It looks complicated, it looks highly detailed, but it's actually quite a simple process. So let's jump right on in. So this armour is sectional. It's made up of these 4 sections, and today we're just going to be looking at adding the Worbla to this second section, sticking it to the back of this armour plate so that it shows through these gaps here, similar to how it's showing through on there. Worbla has this kind of, probably hear it there, quite a naturally rough texture. So we need to smooth it out a little bit to replicate the metal that we're going for. We're not going to smooth it out completely, because we kind of want a little bit of the look of beaten metal. If you want totally smooth Worbla for like an Iron Man suit or something, then you're going to have to apply quite a few layers of this Gorilla Glue or wood glue. It goes on yellow, dries clear. We're probably going to be doing about 2 to 3 coats just to get the finish that we're after. So all you do, take a cheap chip brush, squeeze some on, and that will get into all those little cracks and holes in the Worbla, fill them up and make them nice and smooth. You can might even be able to see that in the reflection. It's already starting to look a bit smoother, and the brush strokes don't show up too badly at all because they just kind of flatten out. While we're waiting for that to dry, let's have a look at what I'm using to make the actual filigree. It's these adhesive stickers called peel-offs, and that's the specific one in the middle there that I'm going to be using with all that nice fine detailing. I don't know where you would get them locally, but for more information you can go to peeloffs.com. You're starting to get a nice, reasonably smooth surface there, but as I said, not completely smooth. I want it to still have a little bit of texture on it to give the impression of beaten metal. You can also see that the wood glue runs off a little bit as it dries, so be aware of that when you put it on a surface. That's why I put this paper down, because it will run off and you don't want it to get all over your kitchen bench or whatever. And the other thing is that it's still a little bit tacky. It's not completely dry, and there's a reason for that, is because now we're going to apply the adhesive filigree. And we're going to apply that while it's tacky so that the filigree sticks a little better to the surface. So I'm going to cut this in half, or roughly, because I want to make the most of my filigree. So I'm just going to put it around about there, like so, and just tap it down and let the glue do the work. Okay, and we can add a couple more details in there later on. Some of these other little stars in here, pull those off, stick them on like so. You know, whatever you feel like doing, get a little Bob Ross on it, you know, wherever the sticker wants to go. Just put some little happy little stickers on there and get yourself some really nice details going on. Okay, the glue's completely dry now, and I've given the Worbla a couple of coats of primer just to help the paint adhere a little better, and to also get a look at how the surface is coming up. So it's nice and smooth, but with still a little bit of texture in there, which is what I'm after. So now I'm going to hit it with some metallic silver, and just use that as a base coat for what comes next. So move that out of the way. Just a light first coat to start with. So just building up those layers. We'll come back shortly, and once I put a few layers on, and see how that's come up, and then look at the next step. So what I've got here is a little pot of wood stain. Tester pot of wood stain costs about $5, and what we're going to do is open that up, and we're just going to brush it on to our thing here. Lay it on quite heavy. Give it a good covering, and then almost as soon as it's on, take a cloth and dab the majority of it off, just to give it a bit of a sheen going on there. Try not to wipe. Dab rather than wipe, because wiping will give you very non-metallic streaks. Okay, and then we'll go back in again and hit the detail parts a little heavier. Now, this paint that we've got, it's not paint you paint on with a brush or even a spray can. It's this stuff, patining wax, also known as Rub and Buff. It's a different brand, two different brands here. As you can see, it's quite expensive. You might be able to see the price on the bottom there, $24 for a tube like this, but it's pretty good value because you don't actually use a lot when you do a job. So the way you do this is where we get a little artistic, and there's a bit of a technique to this, so I'm going to try and show you as best I can. Just squeeze out the tiniest amount of the paint. As you can see, there's not much there, and on a clean surface, spread it around with your finger. Okay, and then wipe off a reasonable amount until you've only got a flat amount of the paint spread on the finger. You want to watch out for build-ups of the paint on the edges and tips of your finger. You want quite an even amount. And then you take your surface that you're going to apply it to, and I always start on the areas that I'm not actually going to see to rub off even more of the excess, because this is something you want to build up gradually, like really gradually. Because if you blade on too thick too quickly, it's going to look very brushed on and artificial, and we want something that looks quite organic. So you can see it's going, I brush it over there, it's getting picked up by the highlights. You'll see it especially here on all that nice filigree. If you get a big blotch of this stuff on, it's pretty much impossible to remove. It's there permanently, and you'll have to go right back to the start and apply your wood stain again. You may even have to go back and re-primer it, which would be a real pain. So a little bit of patience required. See there, we're getting quite a nice little surface, which is starting to look quite nice. But metal generally isn't all one colour, so I've also got a touch of gold here, the gold rub and buff. I'm going to put a little bit of that into my silver and mix it together. So I've got kind of a coppery silver colour. And I'm just going to go in and just add that in a few places. Finally, I'm going to take a different shade of silver, which is quite a bright silver, a bit brighter than the base silver I've used. Once again, rub off the excess. So you can see there, that's what you want to avoid in this area that is not going to be seen. It's kind of a big blotch where I've gone on too heavy. So that's why we're rubbing off the excess in areas that's not seen. So with that bright silver, I'm just going to go very super lightly and just pick out the real highlights. And that's the kind of result we're getting. Once the paint's all applied, you give it a quick wipe with a soft cloth, and it gets this nice metallic sheen to it. That's how to add a little bit of detail to Worbla. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and look forward to seeing you at the next one.